In April, we lost 12 very special cars in a fire at our HQ. In the meantime, we've replaced every single one of them, and we're finishing every single one of them in this episode because we're moving to our new HQ in a few days. It's going to be a busy one. Let's get into it. We're down here at Precision Tint and Graphics doing a lot of the stuff we didn't get a chance to do all year. Now before I tell you what we're doing here, two things you guys need to know. Number one, we have picked a day, the 17th of November at 8 p.m. GMT. We will be revealing the brand new Drift Games Clubhouse. It is definitely the most excited we've ever been about anything ever, especially since it's replacing something that all burnt down. Thanks to you guys, we made it happen, we got the keys, and we can't wait to get started. Secondly, a lot of you guys are asking us about merchandise. Well, we've got rid of all of our stock from this year, and when we launch the new place, we're launching an entire new merch range. It's probably, I would say, the best we've ever done. We took our time, we took a little break at the end of the season to get some stuff that we were really proud of. You're gonna see it in that video as well. And also, we might be giving away a car. So all of that is coming in one video next Sunday, 8 p.m. GMT, so stay tuned for that. Now, while we're here, what we're doing before then is getting a lot of stuff done that we didn't get a chance to do all year. One of the big things was branding. So we have two vans, we have a Caddy and a Crafter. We've been using them for all of our events and all of our drift events all year, well maybe over a year, and we've never even put a sticker on them because they were working so hard, they never stopped long enough for us actually to get a sticker on them. So we brought them here to Precision Tint and Graphics. Jay, Mark, and all the guys here have done an amazing job helping us put all the branding on. I think they came absolutely sweet, like even better than we imagined. But I'm going to show you them later in the episode of how cool they turned out when they're finished. And also, remember I bought that practice car, that Pontiac Solstice? Remember I said I was just going to practice and wreck it and not do anything with it? Well, we came down here, we had a conversation, and I printed out the same livery as the Supra and kind of twisted it and pulled it and dragged it and tried to make it work on the Solstice. It actually took me a long time to do it because I did some pinstriping myself and I kind of was able to experiment on my own. The guys here are so busy with the vans and all their other customers, I kind of had to do it myself, but it turned out absolutely amazing. We're also getting some rear window stickers, some branding and some visors for all the cars in the fleet because, again, we didn't have time to do it all this year. So we have 1 week left before we move to the new place. Let's get all those little things done. And instead of making 10 videos about it, you're getting to see everything in one. So let's go somewhere scenic and show you the progress so far. We are in Mondello Park and both cars have just left Precision Tint and Graphics. We brought them here because we want to do a photo and video shoot. Something fancy. Let's be honest, it's probably the nicest they're ever going to be because they're going to get hit a few times from here. But I think they turned out amazing. The Supra and the Solstice are now ready for 2025. Check them out. Check it out, boys and girls. We have the Supra and the Solstice now, I guess matching, right? It's like a mini, we weren't going to do a livery, but we had to do a livery. You probably can't see it on the camera, but there's like a matte black here and here just to cover up some of the damage that was on the car. There'll probably be more down the line. And I think it looks really, really cool. We put the DS05s on there in black, which are, I think, really nice with the gold bolts. I think they work really well with the yellow on the car. And other than that, she's kind of as it was. It runs good, it drives good, and it's now ready for competition. It's probably a little bit fancy for what we're doing, but while we were in Precision Tint and Graphics, doing the vans, doing everything else, I thought it was the perfect opportunity to kind of match it with the Supra. And then this car can become not just a practice car, but also a demo car for if we want to do some stuff in Ireland next year. We have two options to go for whatever level we want. Love how this thing came out. Absolutely love it. I think it looks really, really cool. It's just odd, it's different, and that's a big part of what I want to do with it. It's just, I don't know, most people won't even know what it is. Moving on to the Supra, it was just a couple of things. So we had to put a brand new HEK bumper on the front of the car, and we had to re-livery that. That's exactly the same as it was before, and we just made sure that it was ready and all the rest. Then on the back we had to put another rear bumper because I broke that as well. So brand new rear bumper, and we found a little bit of a solution for the tail light. So I actually broke this tail light, and this one's a bit damaged, and I found really cheap on eBay these smoked covers. They look black now, but when you have the lights on, when the car is on, you can see the red through them. they're like 50 quid. So it kind of gives it like broken tail lights like a second life, I guess, because they're about 1,600 euro from Toyota. So I managed to get a set of spare ones for like 300 quid that were off a crash car, and then we have these covers, so we've got a bit more life in it. Other than that, there's some things you will notice on the cars that are a little bit different. Most of our partners are the same and continuing those amazing partnerships into 2025. There are two new ones. One is, and it'll be no stranger to anybody, is WiseFab. I run WiseFab on the Supra, and it is an unbelievable suspension kit on this car. So we will be working with WiseFab in 2025 with their A90 setup, which we already have on the car. So it just made sense that to not change everything, just to keep it as it was. And WiseFab are super helpful, and they want to help us develop the car and make it a lot easier to drive. And a big one is Tire Streets. So we are super excited to welcome Tire Streets as an official partner of Drift Games. Tire Streets are a tire supplier that provide consistent quality, fast delivery, and a huge selection of tires, all the way from 13-inch all the way to 23-inch if you want it. I don't even know what you put that on. They have a massive range of road tires, SUV tires, drift performance tires. You have everything you need on that website. I advise you guys to go check it out because it is an amazing service. The guys at Tire Streets, we worked with them on the LZ World Tour across the world, and they really wanted to know what we were doing for 2025. We have a very ambitious plan for 2025, so we needed an ambitious and cool partner behind us. And thank you so much to Tire Streets. We'll be doing a ton of stuff with them over the next 12 months. So this is like a little soft launch, but yeah, thank you to those guys. They're such a fun company to work with. We told them all our ideas for 25 and they were buzzing about it. So all the partners we have on these cars, which is amazing that to think in November we actually have pretty much the car is ready to go for 2025, which has never happened before. But we love all of these companies. We've worked with so many, we know them on personal levels, and all the silly ideas we have, they're 100% behind us, and they don't limit us. And as you can see, they help us build really, really cool cars. All right, so enough of the drift cars. We have these two ready, and they're not ready for no reason, because we're getting the entire fleet ready. This week we move to the brand new HQ. It's an exciting time, it's an emotional time, and we're starting with a blank slate. You guys are gonna see that video Sunday, 8 p.m. GMT. I keep reminding you because I don't want you to miss it. And we have to get every car ready because we've got so much building to do in the new place, and then we're straight into 25. So this is the time we have. We have about 21 vehicles to get ready, and I've tasked Josh and Craig to get most of them completely buttoned up, all the silly little things we didn't get time to do during the year. But you know what? They were actually making such good progress on it. Decided to throw a little spanner in the works because I think we could add another car to the range. What's up, Josh?
Hello, good morning.
So I know I set you and Craig the task of finishing all the cars this week for the big move, but I feel like you were making such good progress, I needed to throw a spanner in the works. So I may have bought another car. Now, I know all the videos lately have been me buying a car, but this one was too cheap. It was actually the cheapest one I've ever seen for sale. So I bought it, made a phone call, but I can't go collect it because I got to do work with the new building. But you and Craig, little road trip, go get a car, it'd be fun.
How far away is it?
It's not that bad. It's like, it's in Donegal, but like, I mean, basically it's as far as you can go in Ireland, but Ireland's small. So, you know, swings and roundabouts.
That's literally as far as
anyway,
you can go.
you're breaking up, Josh. I'm going through a tunnel. Anyway, go get the car. You'll see it when you see it. It's a bargain, and I got a plan. So, yeah, on your travels. See you in a bit.
All right. Craig's going to be in 5 minutes, so, yeah, we go then.
Sorry, Josh, can't hear you. Bye. Give me a shout when you get the car. Bye-bye. Going through a tunnel.
What could I do in 10 minutes? Ah, I know what.
Don't be at that. Oh, Josh! Come on!
Ooh, here he comes. Watch this, Wayne.
See? Told you more foam when you shake it.
Sonax's foam invasion does exactly what it says on the bottle. Alright, so well, yeah, a few minutes into the video and already I've made a tit of myself. But now Craig is here, we can set off on our massive mission to Donegal and pick up whatever car Dave's purchased and sent us to go get. I'm not sure if I'm excited or worried, but let's get on the road because it's a long trip. So we're driving through Letterkenny where the Donegal rally is, and we've just come around the roundabout. We're going back through, and I think I saw a twin cam that could potentially be an old rally car. I couldn't really see that, and there's actually an escort up on the top of the petrol station. Did you fart?
No.
You did. You
The
did.
outside, you put the window down.
You did. Oh, you absolute dirty bastard. Alright, so as you've seen, we've literally travelled pretty much as far as you can possibly go in Ireland. We're at the very point, as you can see, the sea is there, so we're obviously at the end of the country, and because we've travelled so far, we want to break up our journey just a little bit. So we've come down to Midnight Customs. Martin Coyle is the name of the person that runs it, and we've been down here a few times. We bought a car off him, and I think just during COVID or just after COVID, we came down here because he's got a fair few cars here, and they're not just normal cars. I think every single car that he's got is a little bit quirky or special, as you can see. Right, so here with Martin. So we have actually featured this car beforehand, but for you guys that don't know, just give like a quick rundown, because I'm not, every single thing is off it. It's like a Frankenstein car, this.
It's just it's a 1990 Bluebird. I really like the Kato racer seating. I really wanted to just replicate that, and realistically I can't really afford to spend 15 grand on a Cresta or a good base, so the closest body shape we could get to it was one of these Bluebirds. Cut the old front off and extended that on out. It's called a long nose in Japan. Went for the arches and wide wheels. The wheels are 15s ideally, it would have 14s for the proper sort of Kato racer, but I had to work with what I had in the shed, so I went for 15s and have the Tachiari exhaust pipes as well.
I can just say you've missed out a few of the very quirky things, but on the front, what lights are these? Are these S14 lights on the front?
Lights, yeah. Again, they were just in the shed there, and I thought they would look cool on there. So.
And then what is it? Is it the rear lights at the back? Are they trailer lights?
They're like trailer lights or truck lights. Again, you can buy those Nissan Cherry lights, but they're crazy money now. Realistically, this was just a car. It was built in a couple of days. It was kind of a demo car for the business here, so that was, I wanted to just do it kind of cheap and cheerful and still have the kind of cool look to it. So
since I've came down and saw this, we've actually been to Japan and seen all the guys that actually do the street racing in these, and the way it started was they couldn't afford the big flashy supercars, so they made these like they were the cheap cheerful cars that they made, and obviously now the styles got very desirable, and then the cars now are very expensive. Okay, so I'm going to say there's a theme in this garage on miniature cars that look like other cars.
Yeah.
is that the theme you're going for?
It's me, mini Ferrari F40 there.
2 years ago I saw this and I had literally no idea what this was, and then when we were in Japan, Liberty Walk, so I said it looked like a Ferrari F40, and then we went to Japan and Liberty Walk released a kit to make it look even more like an F40.
It's a pretty cool kit, alright. It's a wee bit out of my price range now, but
I do think that honestly, the coolest cars. And can we open it up?
yeah, you can get a look at it, no problem.
So when I was in Japan, I tried to fit in one, and I couldn't. So have you got bucket seats in?
It's got a bucket seat. It's got a Madhouse carbon bucket seat on the driver's side there. It's got actually a lot of Madhouse parts. The carbon dash topper there, and it's not actually. This isn't actually the stock or the standard front end. This is a Madhouse front end conversion with the solid lights.
So they got circular lights as standard, don't
Usually
they?
brown lights, yeah.
So the one in Japan I couldn't fit in, so that kind of ruled off the car for me forever. But Craig, I've got a feeling that I can get in this one.
You got a chance?
gonna-
Josh, give me the camera. Shoehorned in there.
So this must be like, oh my god, it's like a couplet here.
Josh, I think you're in.
I mean, it's close. I'm not sure how I'm going to get out, but I think that's legit. I can fit in one. So, since you brought this into Ireland, I've honestly been looking, I would say weekly, to buy one. and they're the rarest car ever.
It's the only one in Ireland. Well, as far as I know, I don't think anybody's been silly enough to bring one in.
And then moving on from one silly little car to... So, this next car, I've seen at shows, and it's always just... I'm not the biggest Impreza fan, so I'll probably walk past it thinking it's just a normal Impreza. But you've built... It's a mini Impreza.
Mini Impreza, based on a Mazda 121. Again, it's a stupid idea I came up with when I was 17. One of my mates had a 2-door Impreza and we were fixing it, and I always thought, oh, it'd be great to have an Impreza as my first car, but like I'm never going to be able to insure it. And I remember one night we saw one of these driving round, and I thought it'd be great crack to just buy. No, the typical Impreza thing is the vents and a spoiler and stick it on a Mazda 121 just for a bit of a joke. Because I know there's something about this body shape here. It just reminds me of an Impreza every time I see it. So,
is this a genuine spoiler?
It's an Impreza spoiler, yeah. Not much modification done to it other than making it go with the contours of the boot. It's not been shortened or cut or anyway, so it's that's the actual width that it would be when it was on an Impreza.
And then what have you done to the front? Is that the standard bumper?
It's the Impreza bumper again. It's a genuine Impreza bumper. It's been cut here. This top piece, obviously this is still the original Mazda bumper up here. And I've cut it here the whole way along, and then I've got obviously cut the Impreza bumper and took sections out of it and just closed it all in, shortened it all in. And the same then with the splitter, cut the splitter, joined it, stuck it all back together, hot stapled it, plastic welded the whole thing, and we have a miniature Impreza bumper there now.
So, well, you dreamt up as a 16-year-old, now as your skills have developed, you've now created what you wanted to do years ago.
Yeah, well, like, it didn't really intend to go this far with it. These vents have actually been cut. It probably took about an inch out of them. The Impreza bonnet has a swage line that runs parallel with this vent, and obviously when the vents went in there was a step in it, so I was torn between try and put a swage line in the bonnet, or do I just cut the vent and shorten it. So that was the easiest option. I just cut the vent and shortened it. Had a wee nosy on Facebook Marketplace. I was like, I wonder could I get seats cheap, so picked up those seats, 150 quid. Minimal work to make the seats fit, and then I was like, I might get a Momo steering wheel and an Impreza wheel.
No.
So went on eBay and bought it was 30 quid on eBay, cheapest Impreza wheel, and I had this big intricate plan in my head for, obviously it's a standard wheel, so you can't just bolt the boss off. So I had this intricate plan. I was going to machine up the centre and weld one to the other, and I was like, I'll just check this in case it fits, and it was a straight fit.
It's always the jobs that you think are going to be the hardest end up being the simplest, and then the simplest end up being the hardest.
It worked out. It worked out really easy, and it looks pretty cool. So one of the guys, he christened it Scrappy Doo, because people call a Subaru a Scooby Doo. So he christened it Scrappy Doo. So we went in, ran with the Scrappy Doo.
Brilliant, that's fantastic. And you've got a standard one of these outside, have you?
There's a standard one outside. It's in jail as well, but you can go and have a wee look at it if you want to.
So you looked at that and said, there's an Impreza somewhere in there.
Yeah. That's pretty much how it happened, yeah.
I think it'd be a little bit rude to leave here without going for a spin in this. How cool is the door, by the way? I'm not sure I fit as well in this one.
Red line's at just after 9,000 RPM, so
You got shifter light as well. Holy crap, this is...
goes alright. And that's us just about getting to 100k there, so you can have great crack in it, and you're just not even breaking the speed limit either.
It's very rare Craig wants to go for a spin in the car now. Oh my god, that thing is awesome! Oh my god, it's almost cartoon-like. So, I'm going to put the question to you guys. Mazda AZ1. Do we get this as our next big project on the channel? Obviously, Liberty Walk do the mini F40 style kit, which I think I would be excited about, but how did you guys? Let us know in the comments below. Now, we still have an empty trailer that we need to put whatever the hell Dave bought and sent us to get. On the road again. Also, Craig has a new big upgrade to his Jeep. Look at that sporty phone holder. Right, so we couldn't film in the yard where we picked up the car, and it's dark now. The car's behind us. If it was bright, you could probably see it in the back window, but it's dark. So we're not going to release it to you guys in the dark. We're going to wait till the morning and I'll show you guys then. And well, me and Craig haven't even properly looked at the car either. And let's just say it's a risky buy. So some things need to be assessed to see if this was a good purchase. But then again, I'm only rambling because you don't even know what the purchase is in the first place. So let's go to tomorrow, release this thing, and let's see what Dave's getting himself into. Good morning. So it is the following day, and the light has revealed, yeah, it's well, I'm not going to delay this anymore. I'm going to introduce you to Dave's new car that we picked up last night, and I actually put out a question on Instagram, and not one person guessed it right, and I'm not too surprised that not one person guessed it right, because he has bought another Verossa. That is right, ladies and gentlemen, the ugly duckling of the JZX family has arrived in the yard. We only got rid of one earlier this year, and well, obviously Dave missed one that much. He has bought another one. And you may be thinking, it doesn't look in the best condition. And your first thoughts would be right. It's not in the best condition. So a bit of background to this car. This was a road/drift car that used to do all of our bash days and everything like that. It had the standard running gear, had a 1J and everything like that in, all the arms, all the goods, and all those have been stripped out now because he's moved it onto another JZX project and replaced it all with standard stuff. So let's give you a walkthrough. So we have I think it's a BN kit, which isn't in too bad condition. There's a few scrape marks and cracks and everything. Obviously could be in better condition, but could be in worse condition. Definitely repairable. I'm in a mind zone of turd here, if I'm going to be honest. Oh Christ. So from the back, same again. Could be worse, could be better. One thing it does have, as you can see, is smoothed in over fenders or arches. Fairly sure it's fiberglass smoothed in just to make it a little bit wider. And then on the front, I believe it is standard. And then if we're to look on the inside, it's well, it has a full interior ish. CD player missing, obviously gearbox, standard wheel. But it does have a nice dash dodging cage, which isn't good for competition, but it is good enough for our bash days because you only need the 1 bar over then the 2 bar door bar, 6-point cage or anything like that. This works absolutely fine for a bash car, and to be fair, for a road car you don't really want it to have a too aggressive cage because let me know if I'm wrong, but I don't think you can pass a car that's on the road through the NCT system, which is the Vehicle Road Safety System, if you have a full welding cage. But I could be wrong. Not too sure if that's cowpat or bird. I mean, that would have to be one hell of a bird if it was bird shit. The real reason why Dave got this car is because obviously these cars come with a standard 1JZ, and if we open this, Yeah, that's also been taken. Obviously, that's been taken to put into his new project. So yes, it's a Verossa, but technically it's a JZX 110 chassis. So technically it's in the JZX family with the ugly body of a Verossa on it. Well, sorry, ugly cool. I don't know. Let us know in the comments. I think it's ugly cool. It's not as nice as a JZX, but then again it's quirky, so it kind of makes it cool. Or do you just think it's ugly? So, few questions. 1, why did he get this? And 2, what's needed and how much do we have to put into this to make it a car? Dave is not here at the moment, but I'm going to wait till he is. I'm going to let him explain everything what's going on with this, because I'm not going to lie, I don't think I can explain what's going on with this.
A few moments later.
What have I done? So, Josh, you know the way the Solstice might have the worst looking front end of any car in the history of time? I thought it needed some competition.
I was going to say, you made the Solstice look really good.
Well, I think if I sit the Solstice beside it, I've got 2 cars that look like frightened fish. Like, they look like... So, we bought this because we're going to do a full Verossa front end swap on the front. Imagine the effort for it to look that bad. So, yes, I bought another Verossa. So, you'll know we had the Verossa taxi, and I liked the taxi. It was a really cool car. I actually quite like the Verossa because it's kind of a weird, like, stepchild JZX. Kind of, to be fair, it's kind of the car that ruined the JZX. It kind of ended the whole JZX thing. So, you know, top notch. And I love the fact that someone in Toyota on a Friday evening went, wait till you see this. And everyone went, oh, it's lovely. It's lovely. That looks just better, much better than the JZX 100.
I'll say it definitely got signed off at like 10 to 6.
10 to 6, like, you coming out tonight? We are. I should just, what's Tommy been working on? That fucking fish joke he's been doing. It's like, I just send it on. Should I buy it anyway? It's got a 1J, it'd be grand. I bought this car as it is, but this is Irish registered for €5,000, which is cheap, right? That's definitely the cheapest JZX.
Well, if you to put into consideration, it's 10 to 15 grand to register.
16 grand. So nobody outside of Ireland will understand this. But the most valuable part of this car
is that little bit of metal at the back.
Yeah, so this piece of metal is €16,000 if I brought this car in from Japan. So to buy a €5,000 rolling shell with a full interior with this on it means that I just have to get it running again. And it's like, I wanted this to be, because we have so many pretty cars, I wanted something that's a bit rough and ready and a bit cool and slammed and just kind of a bit weird, and I wanted to use it for street driving and for track driving. So this is not just me buying a load of random shit again, because there's a plan, as always, there's a plan. So this,
I mean, there may be a plan, but it's still buying random shit.
The $5 grand JZX.
How could you turn it down?
How could you turn it down? It's a bargain. Now, one thing that makes the Verossa look very good is no suspension and small wheels. If you really want to accentuate how good this car looks, make sure you lift it like an SUV, put Toyota Corolla wheels on it, and
you need a vision to see this.
You need a vision. Now, ignore the cow shite on the bonnet. We've got a BN Sports kit, which is the nicest kit I think on the Verossa. So there is method to the madness. Yes, you're going to say, Dave, but you bought a cheap thing, but there's nothing in it. Funnily enough, I actually have a spare running gear for this car in another shed, in a car that you're going to recognise from all the antics this year. In yet another shed, I have the running gear for the Verossa, waiting patiently in another very conventional chassis. Ba-bam!
She's back.
See, now, if you are at home and you're a regular watcher of the Drift Games channel and the nonsense that we get up to here, you'll know that we bought a NASCAR. Why? And now it makes the Verossa look like a pretty sensible buy, right? So I had a Verossa. I could only drive it 3 or 4 days a year because it wasn't street registered. It was going to cost like 20 grand to get it registered to drive on the road. So I bought another Verossa for 5 grand. When I sold the other Verossa, I took the running gear out of that and I put it in the NASCAR. And now we have learned from the Chelseas and the Adamses and the James Deans that this is a lost cause.
Now that is a handful. Like, I've driven tractors that feel better than this thing. Drift Games, you did a great job making a really bad car.
It did what it was supposed to do, be a really hard car to drift.
It was supposed to be tough to drift, and boy did she succeed. So, to be honest, this whole plan of us buying the NASCAR, which we didn't say at the time, was to make it a drift car and have fun with it, which we did. We had a load of videos out of it. We brought it to the LZ World Tour. The boys drove it. It was great crack. However, long term, Like, are we really going to try and make this, what, competitive? It's 48.
I'm not sure how much use we are going to get out of this. It's a very expensive running game.
But my plan all along, because we knew we were moving to the next HQ, was that I said, wouldn't it be cool if we had a NASCAR on display? And when I say on display, I mean it doesn't need to run. So I just wanted to have a NASCAR. There's no reason for it. I'm not trying to make an excuse. A lot of people saying Dave's making an excuse for buying cars. There was no excuse for this. I bought a NASCAR because it was available on Facebook Marketplace. But now we got some fun out of it. We have got, first of all, we got 4 bonnet pins, which is very annoying. Give it a jiggle. So what we have in here, Joshua, is we have the 2.5 1JZ from a Verossa with over 500 horsepower. We've spent the money on the turbo system, the manifold, it's got a link ECU in there, it's got all the bits and pieces.
It's actually still running the wiring from the Verossa.
Yes, so there's only one wire from the loom, the engine loom on the Verossa that we changed, which was to make the starter work. But everything else is as it was, and we have an R154 in this. So my thought process was that we take this back out of this, put it in the Verossa. I now have a car that can be street driven and track drifted. We get a cool display vehicle in the NASCAR, which we're thinking of wrapping something different, or we might remind. And then everyone's happy, right? And we haven't spent a whole lot of money because this was sort of on loan. This was on loan. It was on loan to Ricky Rudd here in the NASCAR, the old 1J. But that is the plan. It's not a short-term plan, but we are going to take this out of this car soon. And the reason we need to take the running gear out of it is because it's not exactly going on the ground, Josh, is it? It's going kind of, it's being elevated. It's being elevated. You'll see it's
going to be on a new level.
It's going to be on another level. So this is going to be one of the coolest display things anyone's got in their garage. But we want to take all the weight out of it, which means taking the running gear out of it. And that is the plan. So method to the madness, I guess. A little bit of method to the madness. There's never really that much method. But as long as I have an excuse to do it, I'll probably do it. Look at it over there. It's horrendous looking. It's a sad looking car. So, as you guys know, it's been a busy year. We've got a lot of cars. We had to get a lot of cars because we lost a lot of cars. And all of those cars need to be finished before they move to the new Drift Games Clubhouse, which means we got 14 vehicles, we got 4 days. And at the end of this video, you're going to see all of them done. And I'm going to tell you what we did to them in the last 4 weeks. Sounds complicated, we'll make it easy towards the end. Got a lot of work to do though. So we have all the cars outside. This is the first time we've seen them all together since we got them. None of these cars existed, well, actually yeah, none of these cars existed the night of the fire. We had 12 cars in the total fleet at that time, and we have 10 here and 2 that aren't on camera. The Low Brain Drifters car, which has a V8 being replaced, and we also have the Verossa, which you saw earlier in the episode, which is going to ugly up the whole scene. But those 12 cars that we had are now replaced with 12 cars, and weirdly, some are better specs, some are worse. We tried to replace, not replicate, so they all have a new story. And yeah, none of this existed like 6 months ago. So let's run through them even to remind myself what's happened. Some of them were impulse buys, some of them were dream buys, some of them are collaborations. Let's get into it. Starting with the wildest car on the fleet, I think, looks-wise, which is our Liberty Walk Silhouette RX-7. Now this car was to replace the Lamborghini, the 2J Lamborghini we lost in the fire, our first Liberty Walk project. We were so pumped to be working with a dream brand that we admire so much in Japan directly. And once the fire happened, they said, we want to work with you guys again. We built this car in 1 week with no lights in the shed, and our painter Joey O'Neill even slept in his paint booth. We got it on a truck, we unveiled it in Finland in front of 25,000 people, but the coolest part is Kato-san himself and Toshi from Liberty Walk flew to Finland to unveil the car. This is a full rotary BC Racing, custom forged wheels from Strom. The whole thing is absolutely unbelievable, and this car replaced the Lamborghini. Now this car replaced probably the wildest car we had before the fire, which was my Drift Games Corvette. This is the Drift Games Superjet, 990 horsepower, 2JZ, sequential gearbox, quick change rear end, Wisefab, all the goodies, essentially a pro car, which I'm getting to grips with. I absolutely love this thing, full carbon Kevlar on the outside. And then I have a practice car. This car replaced the Corvette, but this car technically kind of replaced our old Verossa drift car as a practice car and a fun car, but it's very relative for me practicing with this in this because it's basically a mini version of this. It's a 4-cylinder, a Vauxhall VXR, a GM 4-cylinder in this, 300 horsepower in this Pontiac Solstice. It's an ex-Ryan Turk demo car. Then it was bought by Eric O'Sullivan, who's also an ex-Formula D driver. He brought it to Ireland from the States, and we picked it up. We put some Stroms on it, we put a livery on it with precision tinted graphics, and it's like a mini Supra. Those look awesome. Now, we also had a 3SG plus T S15. I'm a big fan of Silvia's, as you know. You're going to see a theme on that. We lost that car in the fire. We built that with Group D last year. Unfortunately, burned to a crisp. So I wanted to get back in the S15 game. This is basically a non-turbo EV1 original yellow S15. Vertex kit, Strom wheels, BC Racing coilovers, Ganadors, a couple of Origin Labo bits. But it's pretty simple. We'll be digging into this in 2025 and making it a lot more interesting. But I just love how the car looks. It's amazing. And then the S14, the car that escaped the fire because it was in a container in Dublin Port the night of the fire. This actually survived. This is the car I drove in Ebisu and brought it back to Ireland. I've done Drift Games Invitationals, car shows. She's fully road registered, 3 discs on the window. This is a full D-Max wide body on here. We put a kooky rear spoiler on it. We've got some class work wheels on it. I love these on it. And it's just a really good, simple car. Some brides inside, half cage, some gauges, and it's ready to rock. And this car is used for street and drifting. And this very much replaced the Spirit Ray 1JZ car that we had on the channel before the fire. So kind of a drift street car that kind of does everything great. This is a 180SX SR20. This is Josh's car. This essentially replacing his yellow RX-7, which perished in the fire. So I convinced him to get into the Silvia life, get out of the rotary life, and I think it turned out absolutely unbelievable. This was a Zenki car, but we converted to a kooky front, rear and sides with a kooky spoiler, roof spoiler from Origin, some custom painted with TH components, Strom DS15s, and a really good cleanup. It's running some Bride Lomaxes in there as well. Just a really good balanced car. Essentially a road car for weekend use, not super slammed, but he does want to go a little lower at the front, but we can't because of the old loom and stuff. So we'll get to that when we get to that. Let's move to the back row. So this was the first car we bought after the fire, which was the heartbreaking story of Adam building his dream MX-5, revealing the car at Dubshed, and 3 days later it burning to a crisp. So we got Adam this little Datsun, and he really wanted to build one of these, and we got the Hakosuka front end on there, a set of custom BC Racing coilovers, which actually uses the 2 spare rear coilovers from our Lamborghini on this little pickup truck. He's done a full custom interior, custom Strom forged wheels, and this thing just looks absolutely unbelievable. Getting an engine swap in 2025 right now. It's got about 70 horsepower, but that's the last thing to do, and he absolutely loves this car, and it was great to put a smile back on Adam's face after losing his own car. So that replaced the MX-5. This though, this is to me probably the highest. The 2 of these are the highest quality cars we have, bar maybe the Supra. This is an unbelievable PS13 S13 that I got off JDM Garage. It runs a full DY engine, 600 horsepower, looks completely stock on the outside, except the Toyo 888 Ors give away that it is 600 horsepower. I absolutely love the look of the two-tone on this car. It's completely modern. It's like a resto mod underneath, but on the outside has that old school look, and it's basically my replacement for the Spirit Ray S13. Where do we go with this? Do we leave it alone? Do we do something? We'll find out in the new year, but what a base to work with. Unbelievable car. This is another car that is, I think, something that escaped the fire. I shipped this from Ebisu. I had a drunken chat with James Cruz, shout out James, in Ebisu last year. He had the car kind of in pieces, We brought it back to Ireland, completely finished the car, painted it, full chase base setup, link ECU, you name it, this thing has it. Wide body, big Kazama wing, all the BN stuff on there, and this JZX90 I think is probably one of the nicest looking in the world. I think it just has so much road presence, and it's just such a beautiful car. So this one replaced, well, sad to say, the R32 GTR that I lost in the fire. This was my replacement. I wanted to go 4-door, I wanted to go for a 90, they were my favorite shape, and I think this just absolutely looks unbelievable. This is a full respray in Land Rover silicone silver, which you'd normally see on a Range Rover Sport, but it actually pops really nice. It's kind of a goldy champagne grey. In the different lights you get to see different colours, and I think this thing is absolutely beautiful, and it has just been mapped on its link ECU to 500 horsepower, so she is ready to rock for 2025. And moving on to the last car here, which, I mean, I'm not going to say it was an impulse buy, but you don't wake up in the morning and make a big plan to buy one of these. You're probably wondering, what did we replace with the NASCAR? Well, we replaced the Chevy pickup truck. So we had an old V8 kind of rough and ready pickup truck. We replaced it with a NASCAR, and this car is getting the engine and gearbox and all the running gear taken out of it to put in the Verossa you saw earlier in the episode. So this is just going to be a display car for our new clubhouse. I think it's just super cool just to have a NASCAR, an actual real NASCAR that competed in NASCAR, just chilling. And we're not putting it on the ground, we're kind of putting it up high. You'll see all that in a future episode. A huge ornament in the new Drift Games clubhouse, which brings me right round full circle from the start of the video. I know this has been a long one, guys, but we wanted to get it all in there. We've been working on these cars for the last 6 to 7 months. I can't believe we've replaced the whole fleet. We couldn't have done that without you guys watching, without our sponsors, friends, family, all the boys back in the office just working really hard on events and corporate projects as well. It doesn't all just come from YouTube, but we've replaced the entire fleet, which is what we wanted to do because that was the first step before the biggest step, which is replacing our HQ. Now we've got big plans, and you're going to see them on the next episode. You're going to see what we've bought, and I'll tell you what, this is probably the most emotional part of the whole process, is getting a new home. As you can see, we've been really looked after by Mondello Park, TTW, and of course Wayne and Kern Motors. We need our own home. So we have the cars, we have the crew, and now we have the keys. And in the next episode, you're going to see the unveiling of the Drift Games Clubhouse, the starting point of something really special. So thanks for watching this episode. We'll see you on the next one, because the next one is the big one.